The crowd slowly began to disperse, but the story of what they had witnessed would stay with them for a long time. For the guard, it was just another day of duty. But for everyone else, it was a powerful reminder that true strength doesn't come from aggression, it comes from discipline, control, and knowing when to act. The Royal Guard's actions that day weren't just a display of training and professionalism, they were a testament to the values he represents. In a world where traditions are often taken for granted, his calm, controlled response reminded everyone that the discipline and honor embodied by these guards are not just for show. They protect more than just the gates of a palace, they safeguard principles of respect, duty, and readiness that have stood the test of time. This wasn't just about one guard or one moment. It was about the quiet strength of someone who knows their responsibility and rises to the challenge when it matters most. While the thugs' actions were fueled by arrogance and disrespect, the guard's response was measured, precise, and grounded in years of training. That's what sets true strength apart, not aggression, but the ability to act with purpose and control. The crowd that day left with more than just photos or stories to share. They left with a deeper appreciation for the quiet power behind those ceremonial uniforms. The guard returned to his post, his stance as perfect as ever, but for those who witnessed it, this was a moment they would never forget. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video and leave a comment sharing your thoughts on the guard's incredible professionalism. And if you enjoy stories of extraordinary discipline and courage, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. We'll be back soon with more stories that remind us of the strength and values that truly matter. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. The guard, however, didn't flinch. His eyes stayed fixed forward, his expression calm and composed. Yet there was something in his stillness, a quiet, commanding presence that anyone paying attention could sense. He wasn't ignoring her, he was waiting. Some in the crowd started to pull back, sensing the tension rising. A mother tugged her child away, whispering, "Let's stand over here." An older man, clearly familiar with military discipline, frowned and muttered to his companion, "This isn't going to end well." The woman, oblivious to the unease spreading around her, grew bolder. "Let me just see it," she said, her voice playful but insistent. She stepped closer, her fingers brushing the edge of the bearskin hat. Gasps rippled through the crowd as they watched her cross the invisible line of respect that surrounded the guard. Her friends shouted words of encouragement, urging her to go further. "Touch it. Take it," one of them yelled, laughing as if it were all just a harmless game. The woman, emboldened by their cheers, reached out with both hands this time, ready to lift the hat off the guard's head. "You've been standing here all day, haven't you?" she said, her tone teasing. "You need a break. Let me borrow this for a picture." The guard's posture remained unchanged, but those who had seen the guards in action before knew something was about to happen. The subtle tension in his stance, the deliberate stillness, it wasn't weakness. It was control. And the crowd could feel it. The woman, completely unaware, leaned in closer, her hands just inches away from the top of the hat. The laughter from her friends grew louder, but the murmurs in the crowd were now filled with concern. "Seriously, stop," someone called out. "You don't mess with the guards." But it was too late. The woman, grinning and confident, crossed the final line. The woman's hands hovered inches from the royal guard's hat, her fingers ready to pull it off, her playful grin mocking the seriousness of his position. The crowd watched in tense silence, their murmurs fading into the background. It seemed like nothing could break the guard's stillness, until it did. Without warning, the guard moved. In a single sharp motion, he took a powerful step forward. His polished black boots struck the cobblestones with a thunderous sound, the echo cutting through the courtyard like a crack of thunder. The unexpected movement sent a shockwave through the crowd, and the woman instantly froze, her hands suspended mid-air, her smile replaced by wide-eyed fear. "Step back," the guard's voice boomed, deep and commanding, like a cannon blast shattering the tension. His words rang out with such authority that the tourist standing yards away felt the weight of them. The woman's playful confidence crumbled in an instant. Her hands dropped to her sides, trembling slightly as she took an unsteady step backward. Her friends, who had been laughing and recording moments earlier, fell silent, their phones lowering as they stared in shock. The playful energy of the moment was gone, replaced by an almost reverent stillness. The guard didn't shout again, he didn't need to. His single movement and those 2 words were enough to remind everyone that this was no game. The woman stumbled back another step, her face pale and her hands fidgeting nervously. I didn't mean anything by it, she stammered, her voice shaking as she tried to save face. I was just joking. The guard's posture remained perfect, his rifle steady in his hands, his eyes fixed ahead. He didn't respond, didn't acknowledge her excuses. He simply resumed his position, as if nothing had happened, but his presence now seemed even more imposing. The crowd began to murmur again, this time in awe. A young boy whispered to his father, "Is he allowed to do that?" The father, his expression a mix of respect and admiration, nodded. "Yes," he said softly. "That's what they're trained for." The woman, still shaken, glanced at her friends, who were now awkwardly avoiding her gaze. Her boldness had vanished entirely, and she quickly retreated into the crowd, her head down and her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. A few tourists clapped quietly, their applause hesitant but filled with admiration for the guard's discipline and control. Nearby, an older man, likely a veteran, gave a subtle nod toward the guard, a gesture of respect and understanding. The guard stood tall, his stance as impeccable as before, his expression unchanging. For him, it was just another day of duty, another moment of maintaining tradition and discipline. But for the crowd, it was unforgettable. They had come to see Buckingham Palace, but what they witnessed was far more powerful, a display of authority, professionalism, and the quiet strength of a soldier who understood the value of his role. The woman's face flushed deep red as she stood there, frozen in place. Her confidence, so bold and playful just moments ago, had evaporated entirely. She looked down at her trembling hands, avoiding the gazes of the crowd that had gathered to watch her antics. "I was just joking," she muttered, her voice barely audible over the murmurs of the onlookers. Her words sounded weak, even to her, as if she knew they wouldn't erase what had just happened. She took a shaky step backward, her eyes darting to her friends, hoping they would defend her. But they stayed silent, their earlier laughter gone, their phones now held awkwardly by their sides. With her head down, the woman quickly retreated into the crowd, mumbling half-hearted excuses. "I didn't mean any harm," she said softly, but no one responded. A few tourists shook their heads, exchanging knowing glances, while others whispered in hushed tones about what they had just witnessed. "That's what happens when you mess with the guards," one man said quietly to his wife, his voice carrying both respect and awe. "They're not here to entertain you." Another tourist, standing near the front, nodded. She didn't realize they're real soldiers, not actors. "Did you see the way he moved? That wasn't just for show. That's discipline." A group of children nearby, who had been quietly watching with wide eyes, tugged on their parents' sleeves. "Why did he yell at her?" one of them asked. A mother crouched down, speaking in a calm but firm tone. "Because what she did was disrespectful. These guards aren't just here to look nice. They're here to protect this place." As the murmurs of the crowd grew, the royal guard stood tall and motionless, his rifle resting firmly in his hands. He had already returned to his original stance, his focus fixed forward as if nothing had happened. His face betrayed no emotion, no sign of irritation or satisfaction, just the calm professionalism he had displayed from the start. But to the crowd, this moment was unforgettable. They had come to Buckingham Palace expecting tradition and ceremony, but they had witnessed something far greater, a demonstration of authority and discipline. The guard's reaction was swift, controlled, and precise, a reminder that behind the iconic uniform stood a highly trained soldier. "Impressive," an elderly man muttered, his voice filled with admiration. "That level of control, it's no wonder they command such respect." His companion, likely another veteran, nodded solemnly. He didn't just react. He assessed, acted decisively, and didn't let the moment shake him. That's real training. Meanwhile, the woman and her friends slipped quietly out of the courtyard, her earlier bravado replaced by silence. Her actions would become a story, no doubt, but not the kind she had envisioned. The crowd, on the other hand, stayed a little longer, their respect for the guards deepened. For the royal guard, it was just another moment in his duty. He stood firm, his polished uniform glinting in the sunlight, a symbol of tradition, strength, and professionalism. But for those who had witnessed it, this was a story they would carry with them, a reminder of the quiet strength and unwavering discipline that define the Queen's Guard. The Royal Guard's swift and controlled response wasn't just a display of discipline, it was a powerful reminder of the importance of respecting traditions and boundaries. These guards stand not only as protectors of a nation's heritage but also as symbols of professionalism, honor, and unwavering dedication. Their stillness is not weakness, but the ultimate form of strength, a quiet readiness to act when necessary. This moment served as a lesson for everyone watching that day: tradition isn't just for show. It represents values that deserve respect and admiration. The woman's actions may have been playful in her mind, but they crossed a line. The guard's response, however, was a masterclass in professionalism, showing the restraint and authority of someone trained to handle even the most challenging situations. As the guard returned to his post, his composure unbroken, he reminded everyone why these traditions endure. His actions spoke louder than words, leaving a lasting impression on the crowd and earning their respect. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about the incredible discipline of the Royal Guards? And have you ever seen them in action? Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss more amazing stories about the fascinating world of Royal Guards, their traditions, and their extraordinary courage. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.